I didn't really know where I was going to begin with this one, because I've got a couple of stories that I was going to talk about and touch on. Just mostly about just the way I grew up, or the area that I was raised in. And, living down in Melbourne, man, I lived in quite a few rough suburbs, especially as a child. Witnessed people get stabbed. I witnessed my stepdad get stabbed right in front of me. So, there's quite a few traumatizing experiences, but it's hard to pinpoint one exact one. So I've written down in my notes just a couple of things that happened, just stand out, things of note, and I'll sort of elaborate on them and try to sort of make a story up. Well, they all are stories in and of themselves, but I'll try and make them as interesting as I can. These all happened. Everything that I tell you guys is true. It's all happened at some point in my life. So just in case you were wondering, I've got a big imagination, but I hardly have to use it when I got stories like this. So, I grew up in some pretty rough areas, around some pretty rough kids, and sort of learnt their way, how to do shit, how to con people, and sort of talk my way out of any situation, which I did a lot. I was pretty good at one point. When I was like 4 or fucking 5, man, my parents put me on Ritalin or dexamphetamine or whatever you want to call it for ADHD. So from that point onwards, shit gets pretty fucking whack. I did some pretty hectic shit with kids around the neighborhood that were also prescribed Ritalin, funny enough. So, if at any point it seems a bit crazy, it's because it is, and it was. My life was pretty fucking hectic for 10 years. I got off Ritalin at about 15, 16 years old, so I was on it for a good 10, 11 years, and didn't really have many breaks from it either. It was pretty hectic. And then getting off it too was an entire lifestyle change. And that getting off that medication came down to me. It was entirely my choice, stopping that medication. I wanted something different for myself. I truly believed that the obsessive compulsive things that I was experiencing in my life was coming from being on that medication, because it's an amphetamine. So getting off that medication screwed me up a bit, but at the same time it was a learning experience, which I haven't been back on that medication since. I'm an unmedicated person, adult with ADHD who prefers to be unmedicated, and it shows in my day-to-day life. Not that people call me out on anything or anything like that, which would be pretty rude, because if I did it to anyone else, they would think the same. But no, it is noticeable. I notice it too. Not as much as, obviously people staring at me and looking at me and living with me. They experience, and it's not bad. I guess I'm hyperactive and fucking chatterbox, and I like to drop random fucking facts and history knowledge on people at really inappropriate times. I might shit stir and laugh at times that, are supposed to be serious, and I'm someone who can get serious. Don't get me wrong, I can, if you need me to be a serious person, I can be 100% serious, but in my day-to-day life, I just try to live it detached. I'm a pretty detached person. I don't really I try not to dwell on too much shit, because it's all I ever used to do. I was a dweller. Used to hold grudges on people, and if you treated me like shit, then I would vouch to never forget the day that you betrayed me. And now I'm just, I think it's also got a bit to do with just getting older as well, and just not caring. I'm not saying I take shit from people. I'm just phasing out the drama that doesn't seem like it should be. It should have a spotlight on it. You know what I mean? Don't let shit cunts live rent free in your head, and also don't water that plant. You know what I mean? Let that shit die in the corner. There's so many conversations I would love to have with my stepdad that I've accepted in my later. I accepted them in my late 20s. That I just wouldn't ever get to have with him, based off the fact that he's a gaslighter. He's somebody who, if you told him the truth to his face, he would find a way to turn it back around on you and say, well, funny that you've come to that conclusion, but you couldn't be more wrong. I had a couple of family members like that in the past that I just don't talk to anymore. And so, unfortunately, he's had to suffer the same fate, because there are just some people that you will meet in your life that you just can't communicate properly with. They don't operate on a level that lets you communicate with them properly. You try to be transparent with people. The weird thing is, some people will ask you for transparency, and you give them transparency and they don't like it. And I'm not good with mixed messaging. When somebody tells me to do something, especially a supervisor at work or something, and I go and do that and they get frustrated with me for doing the thing that they asked, nothing makes me angrier, because I've followed a rule. I did what you asked me to do, and now it's blowing back in my face. Nothing boils my blood more than me doing what I'm told and then that person telling me that I'm in the wrong. Obviously got some fucking hang-ups, and there was probably a good reason why I was medicated in the past, but I couldn't really give a fuck, to be honest. I'm just living my life, trying to live my best life. Fucking hate that. Hate living me best life. Fucking gay ass shit. I'm just living me life. I'm just doing what I do, man. I'm responsible. I pay rent. I have pets. They're fed. I work 5 days a week, and I enjoy my life mostly. 90%. My life is good. The other 10% is just unresolved bullshit that's mostly got to do with me and not anyone else. So that's right. I was going to talk about a particular suburb that I grew up in for a few years. I don't really want to give away locations and names, but fuck it. I grew up in Broadmeadows. If any of you guys know where Broadmeadows is, that's where I spent my younger years growing up, learning how to fuck people over, learning how to be a little shit, and learning off the best, kids that come before, and hanging out with a lot of older kids as well. I saw my first bong when I was like 5 or 6 years old, and watched somebody smoke it, which was interesting. Didn't actually smoke weed myself though until I was about 21, 22. Yeah, there was a bunch of kids in the neighbourhood that was sort of going through the same sort of situation as me. There was one across the road. There was one like one street down, and we were all just ADHD fucking little animals, just little fucking feral animals. But we weren't dumb. And I do look back on this often. I'm like, we weren't stupid. It's crazy because we were crazy little cook cunts who would shit stir and torment, the neighborhood pets and people. We would rock roof. We would fucking tap on people's windows. We would hide in people's bushes and scare them. Knick knock, rock roof, do all of the typical shit that, young kids do in a neighborhood. But then we really stepped up at one point and we started really cooperating with each other. And we started conning people out of money. I don't remember which one of us figured it out first. And I'm not tooting my own horn right now, I'm being serious. I do think it was me who came up with the idea, but the execution was done mostly by my little friend Jake. So we would go up as a group. There's three of us. One of us would sit back at the front gate of the house, the victim that we've selected, and two of us would go to the front door. And we're cute kids. We're in grade fucking 1. And we would go and a little sob story about the fun run and how no one's giving us any money for our little foundation thing or for our little charity. We had an envelope and a pamphlet that we had gotten from somewhere, and we had a story, and we would tell our story to so many different houses every day, and they would just give us money. They wouldn't ask too many questions. They would just see two cute kids out the front and they'd be like, "Ah," and they would chuck $1 or $2, sometimes even $5 in the envelope. And we would do that every day, every single day. We had houses that we would stop by every single day as well, that we knew were good for it. This old man would give us $1 a day. Sometimes he'd give us 50 cents and we'd rock roof his house. like, hey man, well, you want fucking, you got to give us that $1 if you want protection. You know what I mean? We're running a little racketeering fucking thing. So, me and my little mates were pretty self-sufficient. We would get fish and chips all the time, constantly buying pies and sausage rolls and vanilla cokes, and we were living it up. None of that money was getting saved or put away. We were scared that our parents were going to find that we were doing this, so we tried to spend all the money that we had. We split it between us. Some days were really good. Some days we would split up and we would go and con houses on our own, and I was very good at fake crying when I was younger. I could just bust out the tears. So I had a sob story. I walked up to this couple. The bloke was washing his car out the front of the house, and the mum was like sitting on the grass with her baby. And I saw him from a mile away, and I was like, fuck. So I got the waterworks going, worked up some tears, grabbed me a little envelope, and walked up to him. And I didn't have to say a thing. The bloke said, wait here. Like, I walked up to the front gate of this house crying, and he went, hang on a sec, went inside, put $10 in my hand and said, hopefully, is that enough? And I was like, absolutely. Yeah, no, like, obviously I didn't say absolutely. He asked me if that was enough, and I said yes. And then he said, have a good day. I sprinted down the road. I was like, fuck yes. Wait till the boys hear about this. So, and I have memory of all this stuff. Don't ask me how. It baffles me, Mum, all the time. I just bust out stories from when I was like 3 years old and just leave her fucking jaw dropped. So I'm not sure how I have this recall or this memory. I just do. I've always had it. Hey, but it's good, man. I can think about when I was a kid, and I can remember how I was feeling at certain points in my life too, which is crazy. I can remember the sort of anxiety that I suffered as a kid, and then I can remember the sort of anxiety that I suffered from when I was a teenager. Two different sets of anxiety, but I can sort of relive them in my own head. You don't get the symptoms of the anxiety, but I can put my head in that sort of in the boots of where my head was at when I was a little kid. I was very self-centered as a kid. I don't know where that came from. I would just look at myself in the mirror a lot. I just admired myself, and that didn't stop ever. That's been going on. As of late, though, I guess I sort of settled down a little bit, and I don't really, not that I don't pay attention or look after myself as well as I used to. I just sort of relaxed on the whole vanity thing, man. I was just so hyper fixated on my hair being in the right placement and my hair being in the right direction, and my face having no fucking spots or pimples or blackheads. And I was very, I really cared about my appearance, and I also cared about how I appear to other people as well. It was something that I was interested in, something that I don't really care about as of late. I'm still courteous. I try to use manners as much as I can, especially around me mum. Of course, I'm going to be a gentleman around my mum and stuff, but the job that I would do, that I work, sort of promotes a toxic masculine environment. And I'm not saying that as sort of like a virtue signal. It literally does promote you being a tough cunt and shaking it off and walking it off and just not taking anything to heart. And if you can't handle a bit of shit stirring in the factory that I work, then you won't survive. And not a lot of people do. They come in, they come out. We have 1 dayers, we have 1 hourers. They come in for an hour. They did the whole induction, which takes more than the time that they fucking spend on the floor working with us. I started working in this industry, and I'll let you in a little bit more on the industry that I work in, in upcoming episodes and stuff like that. I do want to keep a sort of an aura of surprise and a little bit of mystery. And there's a way that I'd like to flesh it out, and this is not the way I would like to. But yeah, I do factory work. Let's just say that it's a particular type of factory. I'll give you a clue. It's a job that people don't respect because it's pretty dark. And it involves some pretty fucked up shit in instances, not always. And it's actually, it's not that bad. But from an outsider's point of view looking in, it's the most horrible thing ever. So that's why I try to keep it on the down low. And also, they don't like us talking about it outside of work. Well, I've been in the industry for nearly 10 years. and I've worked in 2 separate places that both do the same thing. And the last place really didn't like you discussing any of your work, to be honest. They really didn't. I became a manager at that place too, and you had to be careful who you showed photos to. You had to be careful who you spoke to about your position and stuff. It was just fucking stupid, to be honest. Like, the air of secrecy is what makes people suspect that there is wrongdoing going on in these places. If we were just transparent and, bring your missus to work day, and I can be like, this is my job, all right? Okay? Stop asking questions. Then we wouldn't have to fucking do this bullshit. But anyway, the work that I do is not easy, and it requires a specific type of person, and I'm not that type of person. I had to become that person. I started when I was like 22, and it was a cunt of a time. I had a cunt of a time. I was skinny, little malnourished fucking stoner who hardly ate, had a shitty diet, and wasn't willing to fix it. And the work that I was doing was backbreaking, ball busting, and I didn't get respect for a really long time until I put my head down and started focusing. And, I eventually did get qualified for the job. So by trade, I am qualified now to do what I do, which is fucking good, and the money speaks for sure. It's definitely pays to be fucking qualified. But at the same time, it's like and I've heard this from a couple of people, I don't know how true this is, but the average lifespan, like work lifespan of the sort of work that I do is about 15 years. You can only go for 15, and I've nearly been working there in this industry for 10. And I feel it. My hands are fucked up. My hands are cut up. I've got I got a couple of injuries that are starting to rear their heads. Hopefully they don't get any worse. I'm trying to look after them the best I can. But yeah, I've heard that from a couple of people saying that the average lifespan of a worker, I'll just say worker in my industry, is about 15 years before your joints go, your back goes. There's a young bloke that I work with. He's got 2 hernias already. He's 21. He's 21 years old. He's had 2 hernias. Like, that's fucked. That's disgusting. If you don't know what a hernia is, it's when your intestines pop out of your muscle. So they're still in, but they sort of rip through the stomach, sort of poke out. It's terrifying. Thankfully, I've never had one, and I do not want one. Just hearing these cunts talk about it is enough to put me off. So yeah, it's a bit rough. The environment that I work in and have worked in for years is rough, and I get why people leave. I get why people can't handle it. There's still days where I'm like, what the fuck am I doing, man? I just go and mow lawns, just do something peaceful. But apparently I enjoy self-harm or something, or just abusing my body for good pay. It's good pay, but it's not sustainable because it hurts and it breaks you into a million pieces, mentally and physically. Especially when you've got a boss that doesn't know how to fucking communicate with their workers, which I guess is probably a lot of workplaces. I wouldn't know though, because I've lumped myself into one industry like a dickhead. I am qualified for horticulture though, so push comes to shove, man, I could probably go get a job mowing lawns or doing greenskeeping. I probably wouldn't mind. I actually wouldn't mind being a greenskeeper. That would be, just thinking about it right now, like, doesn't sound too bad. Anyway, I got a bit carried away just then, a little bit distracted. I'll go back to the subject that I did want to talk about, which was, when we were kids, man, we were fucking little rat bags, and we got up to no good. And but we benefited from it. It was good, and Mum never knew. If only she knew that her little son, who she thought was so helpless at times, was so resourceful when he was out on the streets with his little friends. One day, coming back from school, there was a massive crime scene down the main street that we had to walk down to get back to our houses. We could cut down any of the other streets, but preferably we cut down the main road to get to our streets where we live. Massive car accident, or we couldn't really see much. A lot of ambulances, lots of cop cars, couldn't make out too much, lots of people as well. So we walk home, we split up, I go inside, I get changed, and then we meet up in the middle of the street, our street, and all the cop cars and ambulances and stuff are gone now. So we thought, fuck it, we'll go up and have a look, see what the go was. And there's one car, so it didn't look like a car accident, There's one car, there's cop tape all over it. It's just caked in cop tape. And the window's been smashed out. There's blood splattered on the windows from the inside of the car. There's blood all over the seats. This is how fucking wacky us cunts were. We just pulled the fucking cop tape away, tried to open the car door, it unlocked. We sit in the car, sitting on the blood, you know, getting our hands in the blood, moving away the fucking shattered glass that was on the fucking seats of the car, and just pretend to drive it. Got me mate sitting in the back, and he's like fucking telling me where to go, and I'm driving and I'm moving the steering wheel left and right. I got me other mate in the passenger seat, and he's like, go this way. And we're just playing like kids do, but just at a crime scene. And it didn't fucking, you know, it never occurred to us that, you know, maybe this is fucked, what we're doing. Nah, never. It really didn't. We had not a care in the world. And that might have had to do with the Ritalin that we were on. We were just sort of so detached from reality, because there was that many things and moments like that in my childhood where I look back and I'm like, I didn't have any there was no self-awareness going on. I was reacting and acting like I was being run, you know, like I was run by a fucking machine, and I didn't have, my thought processes were very bizarre. I would act upon impulse and there was no critical thinking going on. It's just sort of like I was a fucking chimpanzee. I used to really enjoy seeing how far I could push people, like what people's limits were and how far I could sort of test the boundaries of them. And that at the same time sort of taught me a bit of emotional intelligence, because I was pushing people to the brink of them having mental breakdowns. I could see where their breaking points were and when they'd had enough. And so, you know, that was beneficial later on in life, but I don't know why I was doing that bullshit as a child. But I was. I enjoyed tormenting people, and I sort of took pleasure and pride in being just obnoxious and annoying and repeating the same sound to people, knowing that they're eventually going to snap. You know, just hovering and lingering around people and just being a full-on menace until they snap. And then I had legs like Forrest Gump, so when you snap, you're not going to ever catch me. And I knew you were never going to catch me. That's why I would do it. You know, I was a quick little speeder. I would do your head in, and you would tear your hair out and turn around to punch me in the face, and I'm gone. I'm a puff of smoke. People did get me, though. People did trap me. Yeah, there was some people that I rubbed the wrong way, and you know, they weren't alone. You know, they had mates. I got caught and bashed a few times, but you know what? Didn't stop me. Back on the saddle I go. When I moved out of fucking Broadmeadows, I left both those mates behind. They were kids that I spent so many countless fucking days hanging out with on those streets, just sitting on the nature strips of random people's houses thinking, what are we going to do next? Just bored. You know, going to go screw someone over, want to go try and steal something, want to go break some windows, want to go into the retirement village and steal all their fucking mail. Just to do that. Sneak into the high school that was up the road from where we live and just tear shit out and pull things down, and just fucking little absolute turds. And we weren't even fucking 10 yet. Probably 6 or 7 years old when we were doing this shit. And spoiler alert, doesn't get any better. If anything, it gets worse. So brace yourself. Nah, it's not that bad. I'm just fucking with yous. I am, but I'm not. You know, of course, there's gonna be memories that flood back to me when I'm touching on this shit. There's memories that just hit me, which will be just streamed directly to the audio. At the moment, I'm drawing some blanks just because I am thinking pretty hard about my childhood down in Broadmeadows and the sort of shit that we got up to. Pretty fucked up. There's a lot of fucked up people with pretty hectic lives down there. It's a miracle that some of those people pull themselves out of bed every day. Yeah, so if you don't mind, from time to time, I will go off on tangents, because that's just where you'll notice the ADHD the most, is when I don't have a subject. I tend to just ramble or jump from topic to topic really quickly, just fixate on one thing. So if you bear with me, you'll get some content out of me. Sometimes my brain's a little bit I'm just wired a little bit differently, that's all. I'm here. I got me faculties in check. I'm all good. Sometimes my brain just fucking goes AWOL. You know, I'm sure plenty of yous out there know what that feels like. So, yeah, so I've covered me and me little mates conning the people, and that was what it was. I've covered the crime scene, playing at the crime scene. I've got me little notes here, just things that I was going to touch on. I'll leave that one for another episode. I guess I'll just talk more about that medication's pretty damn crazy. Dexamphetamine. I've looked into it a bit more. Ritalin, people call it. I've looked into it, man, and that is pretty fucking hectic, dude. Like, why the fuck were they chucking us little kids on shit that adults can't even handle, you know? Those drugs are pretty insane, and those drugs were doing some pretty wacky shit to us. Like, us three little ADHD rats, dude, we were fearless. Absolutely fucking fearless. Didn't have a fucking worry in the world. Where other kids are crying when they scrape their knees, we get up and just fucking, again. You know, we were just full of rage, full of anger, didn't care how loud we were, didn't care how much damage we were causing to things, and we would just run. You know, we wanted people to chase us. We went out there actively looking for people to run after us. It was fun. It was a game for us. You just sit there and throw rocks on someone's roof until they've had that much of a fucking, you know, they've reached utter wit's end, that they come out and finally make chase with us. And they know they're not going to catch us because we spread into 3 different directions. Good luck. But that's the sort of kids that we were. It's the sort of kid that I was. And they were the friends that I had. You know, just menaces, just like myself. There were other kids in the neighbourhood too, like some foreign kids, Turkish kids and stuff like that, but their parents were really strict and didn't let them hang out with us. And they probably also had a hunch that we weren't the greatest influences, you know what I mean? I tried from time to time to go and hang out with normaler kids around the area, but then I would just end up stealing from them and then getting banned from going over there. And I honestly couldn't help it. If there was something in those, you know, nice kids' houses that I liked and that I wanted for myself, I would rack it. I would find an opportunity and I would just put it down my pants or in my pocket, or just hide it somewhere else in the house, and on my way out take it. I was resourceful, and I was under 10 years old, and I was doing this bullshit. It's fucking crazy. Shit I wouldn't dare to do now. I'm afraid to break the law. When I set my fucking cruise control in the car, dude, I set it under. Not even on the dot. I set it under, just in case I get fucking clocked. I'm trying to be responsible. A responsible adult. But I was not a responsible kid. I did some weird shit. I did some fucking... you know, I'll leave you with this one, alright? This is one I'll leave you with. My nan was being a fucking mole all weekend. Oh, sorry, we had school holidays. We used to stay down with nan for like a week. And, you know, she's obviously going through a rough patch in her life too, but I didn't give a fuck. I just fucking hated the way that she was talking to me, hated the way she was treating me, and she was just being rude, flat out rude. So I thought I'll devise a little plan to get my payback. But as a little kid, you're pretty limited to the things that you can sort of do to get an adult, you know? Have your revenge. So I took a shit in the toilet, and I scooped a little bit into a bit of toilet paper, rolled it up, little present sort of thing, and waited for Nan to get off her. She had her special couch that she would sit on, her special spot where she'd have her fucking neck cushion and shit. And she got up to go and make a cup of tea. And I had hid a small piece of my shit in one of her cushions, tucked up under like a little lip of one of the cushions, and smooshed it in there, and then tucked that cushion back under everything. So as the night progresses, she's sniffing. She keeps thinking that she's smelling something, and we're all just trying to watch the movie, and I'm looking over at her sniffing, and I can't help but smile, dude. The smile that keeps showing up on my face, I have to roll over because I can't control the smile on my face. I'm trying so hard. I'm like, oh my god, I'm gonna blow my cover. This is just so fucking funny, dude. She's sniffing. She's going off at me brother. She's going off at my other Nan. Like, did one of you fucking shit yourselves? There's everybody stand up. Now one of you has fucking shat yourself. It was so fucking funny, and I can't tell her. You know, once you commit to something like that, you got to ride it out till the end, dude. You got to ride it all the way to the end. So that's exactly what I did. I just rolled over and I hopped. My body was hopping. Like, I was laughing I was silent laughing because she's cooking herself. She's like, is it me? What the fuck is wrong? What is going on? She's paused the movie now. She's gotten everyone. She's standing everyone up again. I didn't know that she was going to react the way she was reacting. I thought it was going to be a subtle whiff every now and then of shit that was going to hit her, and I was just like, fuck you, bitch, cop that. And so, you know, time to go to bed, movie's over. She blames my brother for shitting his pants, which I thought was just the funniest fucking thing. She blames the kid that was just fully innocent, has no idea what's going on. Just this poor kid sitting there like, what? Dude, what? Long story short, she found the piece of shit in her cushion. She located it. She just came to the obvious conclusion that the only cunt that's feral enough and fucked in the head enough to hide a piece of shit in their nan's cushion is me. And she's right. She was right. She hit the nail on the head. She told my stepdad, and how do you reckon that was received? Yeah, you'd be correct in assuming not good. It was one of those, like, I'm not angry, I'm just disappointed discussions, where he like walked me up the long backyard and he's like, what is wrong with you? Like, why do you do this shit? There's something really mentally wrong with you. And, you know, I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, this is just a bit of entertainment. I don't know why you're getting so fucking existential on me, man. Like, just chill the fuck out. I just hit a little bit of shit in this bitch's cushion because you're being a fucking arsehole to me. Why don't you go and lecture her about being a fucking prick to your kids? Oh no, you won't do that. But you'll lecture the kid that went and got his own. He went and got a bit of his revenge. And that's how I looked at it, man. I didn't look at it like, I'm so cooked, I'm so fucked in the head. No, that's not how I viewed it, and it's never how I viewed it. If somebody is fucking me over, I will find a way to get you back. And sometimes that's, you know, means inhumane or just downright bizarre. And that was one of those really bizarre, not bizarre to me. I still don't think it's bizarre. I think it's a prank. You know, I look at it just like a prank. Somebody hit a bit of poo. I wouldn't do it these days, of course. You know what I'm trying to say. As a kid, I just thought, you know what? Fuck yeah. I'm going to drive you crazy. Hide a tiny little piece of poo somewhere where you sit, and it drove her nuts. You know, obviously she flipped every fucking cushion inside out when we went to bed because she found it, and I hit it pretty well too. So yeah, that fucking came back to haunt me, that one, that's for sure. it actually came back to haunt me not too long ago when we had a Christmas roast, and that nan came for lunch. She goes, "Do you remember when you hid shit in one of my cushions?" So that was embarrassing, sitting around the table trying to explain that to my mum's new boyfriend, who's looking at me like, what the fuck? Anyway, there's a little story for you guys. Sorry I got lost on a tangent this episode. I will do that sometimes. You're just going to have to bear with me. Sometimes you'll get a tangent that strikes gold, and sometimes you won't. I'll try to make it as entertaining as possible for myself and for everybody else who's listening out there. Whether yous are listening or yous aren't, I'm having a good time over here. I'll leave it at that. You guys have a wonderful, wonderful day or night, and I'll see you on the next FINNY D Show.